We can do it. Well, yeah, but why? Hello and welcome back. I have a really interesting video for you guys this week, and technically last week, but that's fine. So this week I'm going to be doing my video as my inquiry project for one of my education classes. If you don't know what an inquiry project is, I'm just gonna leave something down there that's a little informational bit on it because I don't have time. I have a lot of stuff to get through. So let's get started. I have decided to do my inquiry project on makeup during the Second World War because it's really crazy interesting and there's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't really know about until I started digging through and kind of going through it a bit. It's crazy. I'm going to tell you about it. Weird stuff is going to happen. Get ready. So my essential question for my inquiry project that kind of guided my learning was, why was makeup crucial or essential during the Second World War? Out of everything that could have been kept off the list of restricted wartime industries, cosmetics was not one of them. They actually found that makeup was necessary to continue the war effort back in the United States, in Britain, all across the world, especially for the Allies. It was essential. It was part of the war effort. You had people like Elizabeth Arden, who makes really expensive makeup. $30 for a lipstick? And now she's making stuff for the Red Cross, and these Red Cross care packages are including red lipstick. This is a big deal. We need to talk about this. One of the things that was impacted by the WPB was the fact that for a while, when they did have cosmetics on the banned list, they did still keep face powder and deodorant and soap and stuff because you did need to keep clean. And then they kind of figured out, hey, no, wait, we want our women to be beautiful. But why did they want them to be beautiful? That's just so weird. Like, your men are out there dying. There's lots of people dying, and you're like, she gotta look hot. That's not the case at all. I can assure you right now that it goes way beyond just having a woman look nice. One of the things that makeup did back in the 40s was it actually helped feminize and keep the feminization of women while they were in the workforce. So you see right now I've got my hair tied up in a lovely bandana. Well, that was a hairstyle that was really popular back then because it kept their curls out of the machines. So you have women working and you have women doing a lot of heavy jobs. I mean, Rosie the Riveter, she's using a rivet gun. She is punching holes in metal. Is that what a rivet gun does? You had women working as mechanics. You had them working as machinists. You had them working in large factories. And so they're taking on these really traditionally masculine jobs. And people are worried that women are going to turn less feminine? I mean, one of the reasons why female army officers were required to wear skirts was so that they didn't become too masculine. So makeup was one way that women could stay super feminized while they were going to work. And they started producing things like cute little hair turbans so that you could poke a curl out and still remind people that you were, in fact, a woman. Cosmetics also acted as a morale booster, which there's a lot of stuff with that. For a lot of women, being able to keep hold on their femininity was really, really important to boosting their morale and, giving them a reason to go back and cook dinner at home. So, you have these women doing a lot of really, really difficult jobs. Not a lot of food is available, or if it is, it's like super, super taxed. So being able to have a little bit of control over one small part of your life is actually really, really helpful. So if they're able to put on lipstick and go, yeah, I feel awesome, then it's gonna make them feel a lot better and they'll be more willing to work. Which is crazy. I think all of this is so crazy. So women would get this chance to feel beautiful and they had a little bit of control over their lives and it just made them feel so much better to have this kind of control when everything around them is just going crazy. Makeup was seen as a huge morale booster because apparently this is somehow more uplifting than this. I don't get it. I think I look fine. Got a cute little quote here from a army nurse who said, "If I should ever stop using makeup, there would be nothing left of my morale. A fresh application of lipstick, my helmet at a jaunty angle, and I was ready for anything." So, because of all this, makeup was considered essential for women's well-being, and it was kept off the restricted items list. Granted, not everything about makeup was kept off the restricted items list. For one thing, you couldn't use metal to put your lipstick in anymore because they needed that for the war effort, especially later on as the war kept going on and on and on and on and on. So instead, you get lipstick in, wrapped in plastic. You'd get lipstick wrapped in paper. You'd get lipstick in cardboard tubes, and you'd be told, just take your old metal lipstick tube and just stick it in that. But women did kind of what they had to keep their makeup going, and that's pretty cool. Another interesting thing about how women felt about makeup was that they used makeup as a way to feel like they were somehow contributing to the Allied forces. They were sacrificing part of their daily routine and kind of making do and putting on a brave face without sacrificing their beauty. They actually got really innovative, and it was terrifying. I tried some of it. Oh boy. Let's talk about it first. Let's talk about what they did first. In the United States, there were a lot of factories that were able to produce a lot of cosmetics, and so women kind of had access to the materials they needed to keep up their morale and keep up the morale of the people around them. However, women over in, say, Britain, they didn't necessarily have that because Britain was right in the heart of the war. London was getting bombed, factories were being blown up, you had ships coming over from America with supplies that were getting blasted out of the water, so they didn't necessarily have access to the materials they needed to keep this look going. And by that point, it was super essential that they keep their look going, they keep making sure they're looking nice. So they came up with some really creative ways to do things. One thing that they did in Britain was they didn't have access to stockings. Now, it's not that they didn't have stockings, they did, but by this point they were mostly made of cotton or wool, and they kind of bunched up around the knees, because silk, which is what they were originally made of, was being used for parachutes and whatnot, and then nylon later was being used as well for the war effort. So, one of the things they did when they didn't have stockings was they would do what's called cold tea stockings, where they would take cold tea and they would use it to stain their legs to give the impression of stockings, because no well-dressed woman is going to go out of the house with her legs bare. So you make it look like your legs aren't bare. They really are bare. And that's how things work, I guess. If they didn't have access to tea, or if they didn't want to use tea, sometimes they'd also use beef gravy. I did try the cold tea stockings. I feel like this isn't how it went in the 40s. I have no idea how they did it, because it did not work. I used 4 liters of tea on my legs. Nothing took. The other thing they did back in the 40s was they would use an eyebrow pencil, which they somehow had a lot of access to. They would draw a line down the back of their legs to kind of mimic the seam on the back of their stockings that they would normally buy. So from far away, it looked like they were wearing stockings, which is pretty cool. Oh boy. That tickles quite a bit. A couple other weird things that they did. I say weird, I mean innovative. First of all, in terms of eyeshadow, what women would do is they would take a candle, and they would hold it under like a saucer or a dish of some sort, get all this like charcoal buildup, and they would just smear that on their eyes. How beautiful! For mascara, big disclaimer, I did not try this one. What they would do sometimes is boot polish for mascara. Another thing they would do if they didn't have access to boot polish is they would just take that candle stuff, mix it with a little bit of Vaseline, and brush it into their eyelashes. That's disgusting. Like, ooey. It actually worked quite well, although I would not recommend it because that's probably a bunch of stuff you don't want to get in your eyes, so please do not try that. I don't know why I did, but don't do what I do. Lipstick. That was a big thing. Everyone thinks of the 40s and the first thing they think of is red lipstick. Well, if you didn't have access to lipstick, how are you going to make it look like you're doing it? Women use beets or beetroot. I didn't have beetroot, so I just kind of used beets on my mouth. I'll just continue to smear the beet on my mouth. A common look for the 1940s in terms of makeup was you had that naturally glowing skin, you had kind of natural looking eyebrows that got penciled in, red lips, and of course, nail polish! One of the reasons why Americans were crazy about makeup, along with the rest of the Allies, was because Hitler hated it? What? what was being told all across the Allied nations that Hitler hates makeup. They're just kind of like, oh my gosh, Germans don't have makeup because they hate it? Well, we love it now. So now beauty is becoming a sign, a symbol of democracy and what they are fighting for. Apparently makeup was a way to kind of hide the fact that you weren't the embodiment of Aryan perfection, and Hitler was not a fan of that. He wanted you to be supernatural, super flawless, and if you weren't, that sucks for you. Women in Germany, I guess, would actually be accosted by German soldiers who would yell at them, chase them, follow them, and like force them to take their makeup off if they didn't do it themselves. With that, makeup became a symbol of democracy. Beauty became a symbol of democracy because you could exist and you had the right to be beautiful. That was what was used a lot in women's advertising, is that they had the right to be beautiful. So it was also a morale booster because, you know, they had this right and they were exercising their rights as women to wear makeup, and gosh golly, aren't we really getting those Germans. So, couple more little fun facts about makeup that I thought were really, really interesting while I learned them, and I couldn't really find a way to fit them in, so I'm just gonna tell them to you because, oh my gosh, it's so cool. Also kinda horrifying sometimes. Ladies, you know how you like to shave your legs? Well, if you didn't have access to a razor back in the day, women would actually use a soapy pumice stone to just kind of scrape the hair off their legs. Ugh, which, I mean, you gotta do it if you don't have stockings on, right? Lots of major cosmetics houses created really, really funky and patriotic packaging, and I wish I could have got my hands on one of these. They had powder puffs in the shape of military helmets. That's sweet. You had Helena Rubinstein coming up with her notorious regimental red lipstick. You had people like Elizabeth Arden, who was making a name for herself because she was matching lipstick shades to the mandatory, like, things on a woman's uniform, and was like, hey, lady officers, this matches! And they're like, oh my god, gimme. Lots of makeup ended up turning over to the black market, or the black market just had some stuff that was kind of yikes, and you just don't want to even try putting that on your face if you know what it is. But if you don't know what it is, you're going to put it on your face, and there is just some bad stuff in there, so we are not even going to touch that. Ooh. Something really, really neat that came out of the Second World War that is still being used today was known as camouflager, and it was originally designed by a couple of big name makeup artists who came up with this idea to come up with a product that World War II veterans could use to kind of cover the scars on their faces. We now know it as concealer. Fun fact, concealer was invented during the Second World War. Crazy, right? Another reason why makeup was actually super popular and prominent in the Second World War was because of the fact that makeup companies were really worried that they didn't have stuff to produce to give to these women, and so if they didn't keep bombarding them with images of perfectly made up women, then they would stop buying it once the war was over. So, again, constantly bombarding people with magazines, with movies, with pictures, with, you know, jaunty little wartime posters about looking good and, you know, being ready to go and having that really nice makeup look. They wanted to make sure that people didn't stop buying makeup when things were good. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed learning. I probably enjoyed it a little bit more because I got to find out a whole bunch of stuff and like dig through and go, oh, something new! Anyway, thank you for watching. Again, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, or if you just want me to do more little inquiry projects, I am more than happy to do that. So leave them down below and I will address them right away. I will be hitting you guys with a couple more videos coming up, and I will see you guys next week. And remember, gals, keep your beauty on duty.